Thanks for inviting us in at 6 o'clock, and we begin tonight with graphic video shown to the jury in the Delphi murderers trial.
That video depicting the suspect's time in prison. Richard Allen spent the last 2 years behind bars waiting for this trial that's now underway for the murders of two teens, Abby Williams and Libby German.
Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel and Samantha Johnson were in court today as those videos were played. So Bob, why don't you lead us off and tell us what you saw?
Sure. We'll let you know we are directly across the street right now from the Carroll County Courthouse, which is behind us. It's been raining here all day. Inside the courtroom today, the testimony so important for the defense. A neuropsychologist took the stand today to talk about Richard Allen's mental state while he was inside prison. Dr. Polly Westcott told jurors she met with Allen in prison to conduct a series of psychological exams on him. Based on those exams and reviewing prison videos and phone calls and medical reports, she determined Allen suffered from major depressive disorder and psychosis during the time period that he confessed to killing Abby and Libby. And she concluded he was not faking or exaggerating his mental health problems at the time that he confessed. That contradicts testimony from some prison officials who said earlier in the trial that they thought Allen was making up his mental condition. And it counter the most damaging evidence against Allen so far, his recorded phone calls, confessions that the jury has already heard in which Allen confessed to the murders. Also today, jurors watched two videos that show Richard Allen inside his prison cell. Only jurors could see those videos, not the entire courtroom. A witness said they showed Allen eating his own feces and banging his head against the wall of his cell. Jurors were visibly upset. Some of them winced and repeatedly looked away as the video was shown. Again, it's an effort by the defense to try to convince jurors that Allen's mental health was so deteriorated in prison that it drove him to make false confessions. The prosecutor accused the defense of showing the video simply to get sympathy from the jury and to turn Allen into the victim. And Sam, that was just the beginning of what was a very full day of testimony here.
Yeah, that's right. We heard from several more witnesses this afternoon. The afternoon session started around 1:30, and the first two witnesses who we heard from this afternoon were family members of Richard Allen. We want to show you some video here outside the courthouse. The first, his half-sister in the orange sweater you see here, his daughter in the gray long-sleeve shirt. The defense asked both of them in court this afternoon, quote, "Did Richard Allen ever molest you?" Both answered no. "Would you lie for him?" the defense asked. Both answered no. The defense also asked his daughter, Brittany, quote, "Do you love your father?" in which she replied, yes. Now, we both saw Brittany inside the courtroom today. She was visibly upset at times, tearing up several times. Seemed like she was trying to avoid eye contact inside that courtroom, too. The other notable witness of the day, I would say, was actually the last one. His name is Brad Weber. He lives on the property right next to the crime scene. In fact, in court today, he told the jury his driveway goes underneath the Monon High Bridge. The defense got him to admit today in court that he told differing stories to police in the days following the girls' murders about whether or not he drove straight home after work that afternoon. And that's important because if he did, that would put his white van in the area of the Monon High Bridge around 2:30 p.m. the day the girls went missing. And that would match Richard Allen's alleged confession in prison that he said a van scared him at the crime scene that day. Now, Weber told the jury that he has cooperated with police several times, saying, quote, "They searched my car and house." Another quote, he went on to say, "I talked to a lot of people." Now, after that, this was at the very end of the day. I think this is important to mention. The defense showed Weber a photo of his own garage that they say they took on February 19th, just a few days after the girls went missing. We could not see that photo from where we were, but it was handed out to jurors, and the defense specifically pointed out what they called sticks in his garage on the day they captured that photo. At that point, the state stood up and said, asked the judge for a sidebar conversation, and that was really the last we heard of the defense today.
It was. We expect there are a few more witnesses for the defense. A lot of the witnesses that they plan to call, the judge has said they are not allowed to call, but we are expecting perhaps 2-3 more days of witnesses before this case could end up going to the jury. So again, day 15, lots of activity. We'll be back in court again tomorrow morning to continue bringing you coverage of this trial. We're live in Delphi. We'll send it back to the studio.
All right, Bob, when you look at that list of witnesses, any chance that could be altered to include the defendant in the case, Richard Allen? Any chance the defense would put him up on the stand to say, I didn't do it?
I don't think so, Ann. We've already heard there's been some evidence that was presented to the jury so far that would include some video and audio of Richard Allen, and the defense made it very clear that they were not going to enter that audio because if they did, it would open the door for Richard Allen to be cross-examined by the state. So I do not expect that we are going to have Richard Allen take the stand here in the final days of the trial.
All right, Bob Siegel and Samantha Johnson with our coverage and insight from inside the courtroom today. Thanks so much. And we've got much more as our legal expert, Katie Jackson-Lindsay, joins us tonight for our Delphi debrief to go everything that happened in court today. You can watch that stream every weeknight at 10 o'clock on WTHR Plus to catch up on the daily developments in the trial. Now, if you don't have WTHR Plus, go get it. It is an app that is a free download on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and also Roku.